So you ended up creating the persona, the Mad Rapper, on Biggie's second album, right? Life After Death.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration behind that? Because it's just genius.
It was the beef, the West Coast, East Coast beef. It was that. It was like, like, what are we doing here? Like, you know what I mean? And I just took some people from the studio manager, that was Puffy's cousin, the front desk girl, her real name was Shay. And I brought them in the studio and said, let's try something, let's go for it. Just thinking out the box, just trying to figure out what will entertain. And most of the time when you make fun of yourself, people start laughing. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what it was. The inspiration was to show how ridiculous it is to hate on dudes that don't hate on you.
Okay. So it wasn't necessarily like to mock the West Coast or anything, but it was to make light of the situation.
Right, yeah, not at all. There's no reason to mock them. I mean, they ain't do nothing to me personally. I'm a ride or die dude, but I'm not going to shoot myself in the foot for words. You know what I mean? At that point, it was all just words. You know what I'm saying? So the Mad Rapper came after that. And it was like, we already lost Pac. We already lost Big. There's no need to lose anybody else.
And for a while, your identity as the Mad Rapper was hidden to the public, right? Why did you want to keep it hidden?
Again, I wanted to be a rapper, and I didn't think that was going to be the way for dudes to take me seriously with my bars, for one, and then two, where I'm from, Feli had gave me a deal to represent Feli as D-Dot, and it was $500,000. And so, at that time, we aren't seeing this type of money yet. Where I'm from, somebody's cutting you a check for $500,000, like, yikes.
Right.
But they wanted it to be D-Dot, not the Mad Rapper, because the Mad Rapper had a little negative connotation to it. And so this person decided that, fuck your money. I think the public needs to know it. And, my reaction was, yikes, I never seen this type of money. They just ripped the check up. Because they wanted to keep it me as a producer next to Puffy, not a character. They didn't want it.
Right.
They didn't want a character. You know what I mean?
So then you get revealed to be the Mad Rapper, right? What is your immediate reaction when that happens?
Well, I ended up getting locked up. That's my immediate reaction. Just, oh my God, this can't be happening. So I ended up paying the price, and I was on Saturday Night Live, and they made jokes out of it. But yeah, I reacted wrong as a child. I was still young in their mind. But again, my mindset was I may never see this type of money again. And somebody just, unbeknownst to them, they didn't know this was going to be the result of it. They were just doing, I guess, hip hop duty, or what they felt hip hop needed to know. But there was more backstory to it that affected my life and my livelihood. I got kids to feed, and like I said, a $500,000 check at that time was just, yikes.
And then what you're referring to is the Blaze magazine incident, right?
Yes.
And so you ended up getting locked up for that. Did you end up doing any real time for that, or was like you were?
No, I had to pay something to the gentleman, quietly between us, kind of settle out of court. Nice number. He got a nice number and kept me out of jail, thankfully. So I thank him for keeping me out of jail. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I ended up paying the price for that.
Did you ever end up having a conversation with him like years later after that?
Never.
No, never. Okay.